Summer's here, and Nordstrom has everything you need for your best dress season ever. From beach days and weddings to weekend getaways and your everyday wardrobe. Discover stylish options under $100 from tons of your favorite brands like Mango, Skims, Princess Polly, and Madewell. It's easy, too, with free shipping and free returns, in-store order pickup, and more. Shop today in stores, online at Nordstrom.com, or download the Nordstrom app.
I think you're on mute.
Workday's starting to sound the same.
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
With a Venmo debit card, you can Venmo more than just your friends. You can use your balance in so many ways. You can Venmo everything. Need gas? You can Venmo this. How about snacks? You can Venmo that. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit venmo.me/debit to learn more.
You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo.
The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Welcome to
4Kids Flashback. Hello and welcome to 4Kids Flashback. My name is Steve. What did you just do?
I had to get.
Did you just do a big hand gesture?
No, I was getting my webcam to focus again. I was.
Oh, I just saw my peripheral vision some hands. Okay.
Looks like I'm in a 90s rap video where I'm just it's fisheye lens and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Or there were some jazz hands going on. But anyway, my name is Tara Sands. Welcome to 4Kids Flashback. I'm joined by
Steve
Mr.
Yurko. And I'm getting jiggy with it.
You are getting jiggy with it. That's my favorite thing about you. So I want to tell you about something very scientific that happened recently, Stephen.
By all means, I didn't realize this was NPR. But
oh yes, we're getting scientific and real and jiggy all at the same time. So I was at a convention recently and I got into a very heated conversation. It really wasn't, but about Pokémon heroes. And at the end, if we think Ash kissed Bianca or Latias. Do you have an opinion about that?
I haven't seen this feature film, so maybe I should have. If I saw this sequence with my own, or I think I would need context.
Well, now
right?
I want you to watch it.
I don't know.
You have to watch the whole thing. You have to understand the context.
Is it like this girl was just like the human avatar of a Pokemon, or is it?
I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not giving no spoilers. But anyway, I played this role and I don't have a definitive answer.
Oh, I see. No wonder
why. I
why.
get asked a lot what I think, and we got into this really nice conversation at this convention. And so I told them I was going to do a poll, and I did not lie. So I'm going to read you guys the results of these polls that I did. I did the poll in 3 different places, and I'll tell you how I worded it. I said, in Pokemon Heroes, do you think Ash kissed Bianca or Latias? So on Twitter, here are the results on Twitter. 55.8% voted Latias, 44% Bianca. So Latias clearly won, but it wasn't like a huge, only 11-point spread, really. But you go to Instagram. 74% Latias, 26% Bianca. Discord channel, which just in our small Discord channel, 87% Latias and 13% Bianca. So clearly Latias wins, but it's just varying percentages, and I wonder if that has to do with the platform that the question was asked on.
Yeah, are we going by popularity, or are we using the electoral college?
Yeah.
How many points does Instagram have as compared to Twitter? That's what I want to know.
Well, I'm trying to think if I have how many total people, but I don't have the total numbers. But yeah, listen, it's a clear winner. Latias clearly takes the cake, but and people, it was kind of fun. Like on Twitter, at least, someone wrote like a very detailed explanation about why, and there were good defenses on both sides. Like I think it kind of would be fun to do this like in a court of law. and have both sides, or like a debate club. And have both sides really state there.
I feel like that's like the worst parts of anime fandom are just that now, or just debate clubs. It's it's for people that are into sports. They just debate about cartoon characters or.
Interesting. Oh yeah. Brackets. Maybe we could do some brackets. I've always just wanted to do a bracket. I don't really know what that means. Fun. Let's do brackets. Steve, send me a bracket. Yeah. So that's the results. I know if you're out there, I met so many great people in Long Island. I was at a convention there who listened to the show. I met some Discord members. Just so nice. You guys are the best who listen to this. I really appreciate you, and we thank you for tuning in. And we have a really sweet guest for you today.
That's right.
Jessica. Yeah. Have you met Jessica before?
No.
Okay.
What should I be prepared for?
She's so mean. No, she's so great. And I know she's really kind of more known for stuff that is non-4Kids related, but she did work there, and I think she'll give us really good insights into the differences between studios and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because she did a lot of dubbing work in New York by the looks of it for a long time, and during that era, yeah. So the 4Kids crossover eventually happened. I guess we'll learn all about that very shortly.
We will. Yeah, she'll be here in a minute. So, you guys, subscribe, like, and review. If you could just hit that like button, hit subscribe, tell 20 friends. We always appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we'll be right back.
Yes, I was going to say, if you and your you find you and your friends debating about things about who kissed Ash, they might like our show as well. So.
Yeah, that's true. It's a really good point. All right, we'll be right back with Jessica Calvello.
All right.
Our guest today is Jessica Calvello, who's already giggling, and I love it. She is holding her emotional support unicorn at 4Kids. Jessica did a bunch of really cool stuff at 4Kids, and we are going to talk about that. But what I am very excited to talk to Jessica about today is that she was somebody who had experienced dubbing in Texas before coming to New York, and then worked at a ton of studios in New York. And I'd love to kind of talk about what was going on in the world of dubbing at that point and what she witnessed from studio to studio. She's our first guest who did start in Texas. So welcome to the show, JC.
Thanks, TS and SY.
That is how we refer to each other. Jessica and I, before we started recording, and I was like, save it for the interview. We were lamenting the fact that we never met in New York.
Mm-hmm. Wild.
It's weird, right?
Small city.
It's weird. Oh, right. Yeah. Small city when I was there, I think it was 8 million people. I don't know. Was it 16 million? Has it doubled? I don't even know how many people are in New York now.
There's trillions. I think trillions. I don't know.
Trillions of people.
But we ran in exactly the same circles.
Yeah.
We knew all the same people. So I feel like I want to blame it on someone. Who was keeping us apart? I feel like somebody in that world was like, they shall not meet.
Lisa Ortiz.
Let's blame Lisa. She was keeping us apart.
No. Yeah. No. God, if there's one person that brings people together, it's Lisa. Lisa knows
I know.
everybody. Oh my God. I don't know.
Yeah,
I got there in 99. And I started working immediately, and then I left 2007-ish. So I was there when you were there.
I mean,
I don't know.
You must have been at some of the same events. It is just, it's weird.
It's strange. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I want to go into your origin story.
Yeah,
These are the hard-hitting questions I warned you about. So You're from Texas? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. Originally, I am from Texas. That's not a brag. That's just the fact.
It's a truth.
It's truth.
Your truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so were you a kid who was always wanting to be an actor? Were you singing and dancing? What was little JC doing?
Yeah. So for real, I have wanted to be an actor I don't have a memory of not wanting to be an actor. It is dark in here. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't have a memory of not ever saying and expressing and being in class for being an actor. I started singing, dancing, acting classes, all of those. Well, not acting classes because it was the age of 4. So what are the acting classes at the age of 4? Right. Not so much, but creative corner type stuff. But like singing and dancing for sure. That young, and gymnastics, and I just always it was either be an actor or an astronaut. Like those were the two.
There's still time.
Yeah. There is still time. We are alive. We are thriving. We are moisturizing. Yeah. My dad worked for NASA. And so I know. So I had a lot of space stuff that I grew up with. Like my dad talked about the space program all the time. He's an aeronautical engineer. He worked with astronauts. And so I was like, I'm either going to be an actor or astronaut. My parents were like, yes, honey, whatever you want. And then, astronaut tasks involve so much math. So much math. So I started at a super young age. I did not know that there was actually a career to be had just in voice acting. Like,
right.
When I studied it, like elementary school, junior high, high school, and then in college, I went to Texas State, and I have an acting degree. I went to the fine arts program, not just the BA program, but the Bachelor of Fine Arts program. That F in the middle stood for very intense acting program.
Sure did. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a freaking difficult acting program, but no, really, for sure. And so I studied a lot of different kind of voice styles, and I was really into musical theater and singing and all kinds of things, but still not voice acting. And then when I graduated from college, I immediately moved to Houston. Because I've always loved Houston growing. I'm not from Houston, but I loved Houston growing up, and it had a really nice big art scene and all of the theaters that were there at the time. Some of them are still there, some of them aren't. And then I just fell into, and this is the I think the wildness of it all, because I don't know. To me, this is wild. I went to well, this is not the wild part, but I went to a commercial print modeling school. And for those who don't know what that is, because why would you? It sounds weird. You've got your modeling schools that are for, your 7-foot leggy brunettes and fiery redheads that walk down the runway, and they're a size -9. And, that's a model. And then there's commercial print modeling, which are people, excuse me, that you see on the billboards, like holding up, a glass of water and saying, drink water, it's so good for you. And then they flash a dazzling smile, and the commercial is for like dentistry, because it's really showing the teeth, and that's right. That's what that ad is selling. And so commercial print modeling is about your prints commercialized to sell a product. And so there was a school. Oh gosh, it really was there to just take our money. But it was like, we will teach you. Yeah. It was at Page Parks, which is gone now, I think, which is not a bad thing. And they had like one side was for the models and the other side was for the commercial print models, which just meant that we weren't as hot. I mean, that's just what that meant.
Stop it.
It's true. It's true. We were all super cute and like fun and but so anyway,
it was more personality driven.
It was personality, dimples, driven. And so, but here's the point. Sorry. I met they did have a legit acting class there taught by this wonderful actor. Her name is Sharon Shaughnessy. And she was one of the first VAs at a company called ADV Films, which was the first dubbing house in Texas officially. Wow. And they started in 1991. So I had come into Page Parks in 95 and met Sharon Shaughnessy, and she pulled me aside one day and she said, you know what, and we actually did like monologue work, which made no sense for commercial print modeling, but it's too late to ask questions. It's too late. We've already done it. It's
that
over.
Ship has sailed.
It's gone. It's crashed. But she was like, I think you're great and you excel in my class. And listen, I just started working for this company who dubs Japanese animation. And I wanted to know if you were interested, I'll give your name to the director and see if they'll have you in for an audition. And so she did that, and she had this rich, sultry voice. And I don't know what name she used on the credits because it's not Sharon Shaughnessy, but she was in the original Evangelion. She had a number of parts in the mid 90s, and so that's where I got my start. I auditioned, they cast me.
What was your first role? I need to know that.
So it actually was in the TV series of Evangelion. I was additional voices as you do, yeah. And one of my lines was really important because it was one of the lines on the ship on the intercom. And I said, the doors are now closing, and the doors closed. So I did a really good job. I
felt the door close when you said that.
Yeah.
Steve, did you feel the door close?
Yeah, I hope so. Did you see?
I'm on the subway.
Did you watch that version of Evangelion?
Oh yeah, the ADV. Right? Oh yeah, that was yeah.
That's your stuff.
That's like my version, of the show. I know, like it's been redubbed since, but
where did you find that copy of it, Steve? I'm always curious, like where you guys got these dubs back then, because they were not online, because that didn't exist.
DVDs.
Yeah.
And
that would have been VHS.
Yeah. Oh, I think for me, like when I was like getting an anime, this is like early 2000s. So,
okay. So maybe by then.
Yeah.
But like what store did you go to buy this, Steve? Like, I'm just curious because where did it was like, I remember Tower Records had some. I
was going to say like stores like that, like came and went very quickly. I remember Suncoast. You'll probably hear a lot of people say, Sam Goody.
Hastings. Remember Hastings?
No.
Never been to one, but I've heard of I've heard the name.
Hastings. Yep.
Remember The Wall was a store? I don't even know if people know what that is.
No.
FYE.
No,
FYE is still kind of around.
Sam Goody.
Yeah. Sam Goody.
Sam Goody have that stuff? Yeah. I mean, we're like, we talk about this stuff, now people want anime. It's just so easy, but we were working in it at a time when like, you had to go out of your way to get this stuff. So, like, were you consuming anime at that time, Jessica? Like, was it something you watched, or was it just kind of a job at that point?
So, I mean, I grew up with Speed Racer. I mean, they had anime on when I was a child, and I watched it, but I wasn't necessarily really into it. And when I stumbled upon ADV films, no, I wasn't actively watching it. And, just to even put it more into perspective, back in the day, there were 2 episodes per one VHS.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And if you really want, like, this shit's wild, right? Excuse me. This stuff is wild. Watch my language.
You can say what you want.
Yeah. This gosh darn stuff is wild. We used this material that is now obsolete called paper.
Okay. Yes, I'm aware. Yep.
Yeah, there's stuff called paper. What they wanted us to do, we would have to go before our recording session, like the week before, pick up the scripts and pick up the raw Japanese on VHS and study because yes. I'm not even kidding you. This is crazy. The scripts were always a little off because they had like one translator. They didn't really have an adapter. They had a translator.
Wow.
Yeah. Now there's like a million translators, and then it goes to the adapters, and then the adapters make it make sense from Japanese to English, so that it's for American audiences, English speaking audiences. But back then, your translator kind of was your adapter, and they were doing the best they could. But but we had to help, right? Because sometimes the flaps would be off. And so we were encouraged. And I mean, all of us did this at first. We would take the scripts home. We would make notes. This line is 2 flaps short. This line doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it looks like it's 4.5 too long. Yeah. And then we highlighted our lines. And like, if you got to the studio and your lines weren't highlighted, they would give you highlight your lines, give you a highlighter and highlight your lines, and then use paper. And it was crazy. And so many things back then are so forgotten in the past because like sometimes I would accidentally, if I'm like gesticulating and I've got my script in my hand and I hit the microphone, like that would never happen now because we don't use paper.
Right.
But like things like that, or like sometimes we would write little notes, like if I knew who was coming in to record after me.
Oh yeah, we did. Yes, I loved that.
Yeah, or like I put my phone number, call me. Yeah.
You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Get into your body's vitals with the Vitals app on Apple Watch. The Vitals app tracks key overnight metrics so you can spot changes in your health before you feel them. The Vitals app on Apple Watch. iPhone XS or later required. The Vitals app is for wellness purposes only and not for medical use.
I'm amazed that you guys had homework to do before a session. I mean, that never happened in the early days in New York to me, where I think I would have been annoyed that I wasn't being paid for it, but I would have been really excited to like have some time to look at my lines because we were reading everything cold back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's like kind of a bummer that you're not getting paid for that time, but you also probably gave a better performance because you kind of knew what the script was and you saw the animation ahead of time and could make some decisions. And
yeah, I think so. But I think like, you know, seasoned actors, right? Like yourself and like, you know, me too, because I've been doing it forever. I mean, you can shoot me out of a cannon and my cold reading might not sound that different than a reading that I've read before and studied, right? Because we're so good. We are so good at cold readings. I don't know how to read something and not already be making decisions. Like even if it's just a book I'm reading.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I don't. But back then, it was helpful because the directors would get frustrated and they're like, you know, I even one time had a director say, you know, hey, I thought you took the script home and studied. Like this is going really slowly because the lines weren't fitting. And I was like, I did the best I could in between my rehearsals and my job. And, you know, I was a working actor. So I didn't love that. But yeah.
Ooh, ouch, each. I don't like that.
Yeah, okay. Nope. Mm-mm.
So ADV was the only aim in town. What else did you do for them around that time? I'm looking at your IMDb, but the thing is a lot of these things are out of order because they weren't necessarily dubbed right away. So what do you remember working on in those early days?
Yeah. And also like I could be wrong about the time period because I think Canada, remember Ocean Studios? I think they also started somewhere in the 90s, but I know ADV was the first. It was ADV Films and then it became, first it was AD Vision and then it became ADV and then ADV Films and then Sentai Filmworks, Seraphim Digital is what they are now. Woo, man, I've been around.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah.
Damn.
So okay. my first stuff was the Evangelion, and then I also did some smaller, like some additional voices on a show that stars my goddess Amanda Wynn Lee, who's she's such an incredible voice talent, and she's the lead in Blue Seed, so she cast me, and I did some additional voices in Blue Seed. And I think my first official, like, leading role was Kimagure Orange Road Summer's Beginning. And there's a lot of there's a lot of Orange Road like movies and stuff. And so I was in the one that was Summer's Beginning. It was like a love triangle. It was torturous and oh, young love and the torture of young love, and everyone's in love with everyone and no one's in love with me, and I love you and you love him, and it was that. It was great though. It was actually really great drama. And then one of my favorite leads ever is no one, and this just came back into print within the last few years because it had disappeared for a while. But it's called Ruin Explorers. And it is an Indiana Jones-esque story with 2 females.
Ooh.
It's so
I'm
good.
Looking at the cast list. Okay. Nice. Okay, so it is interesting to see. Well, that was Rika Matsumoto was the Japanese version of that. I feel like she's doing conventions here now. Oh, yeah, because she's Ash from Pokémon.
Who does she play in Ruin Explorers? No.
She was Rasha.
Oh!
Is that you? I'm looking now.
Who was Rasha?
Well, now I'm looking. Now I can't. This cast list is enormous. I'm sorry, everybody.
Rasha. Yeah, she was the villain. Yeah.
Ooh.
Wait, or she was a painting. Yeah. No, Rasha had the long hair. Yeah. Yes. I did not know that. That's so cool. Yeah, Brett Weaver, Jason Douglas. That was like some of our first early shows.
Yeah. So was this still at the point where you were taking home these VHS tapes, or had that stopped by this point?
No. That lasted actually the whole time I was there. I left. Yeah. So I left Texas in '99 and went up to New York. And we were still scripts and VHS at that time in '99. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what inspired this move. Were you just ready for a new city, or is it to do more anime? What was the reason for coming to the big city, Jessica?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I do have some family in New York. My dad is from New York, so I've been many times. I'd loved it. I've always been a big city girl. I love big cities. And so I'd always wanted to live there, and I've always wanted to do stage. And I always had the struggle when I worked for Now Sentai, back then ADV. I always had the struggle of trying to balance a stage life with a microphone voice acting life, because it's such different. You use your instrument in such a different way. And we could get into that too, just like with vocal health and whatnot, because it was so hard sometimes to transition over from, okay, I'm in stage now, I have to project. And then I would come to the microphone the next day, like maybe I had performed an entire weekend of shows, and then Monday morning I'm in the studio and I'm screaming, and they're like, whoa, like, let's pull that back a bit. You're not on stage. And it was hard. And my love was really acting. Voice acting is wonderful. But it's acting that I really, really cared about and wanted to do. So I went to New York to continue my stage career. But had a pretty good voice resume. Just from having worked for the 4 years for ADV Films. And so, by then I had a bunch of leads. And so when I went up to New York, I think I just started, I got a reel made immediately and started sending that out and just trying to make connections. And I don't even remember who the first person was I met. It might have been I'd gone to a convention with some of my Houston friends in New York and met some New York people that way. I can't remember, but I did. I met people, and then just, was on the circuit of the dubbing houses. And also, and it's so wild, I could talk forever about the differences between then and now, because there were dubbing houses everywhere. They were on every corner. They were all over the place. And now, of course, they're gone. And so it's different now. But I worked all the time, and it was fantastic. And then I would rehearse in the afternoon or at night for shows. And then I also worked at a bookstore. And so it was just juggle, trying to make ends meet. Yeah.
But that sounds just it sounds like the from the musical Rent, the artist's life in New York, running from place to place. It totally feels like the dream. So I love that you did that. I'm so do you remember, I know you don't know the first person you met in New York. Do you remember like the first studio that hired you? Were you doing mostly stuff for Central Park Media at that time? Did you get into 4Kids right away?
I think the first studio that I worked for was Headline Studios in Irvington. Yeah, in Irvington with Joe DeGiorgi.
So to work for that studio, just so you guys know, like we all like moved to Manhattan and then we'd have to take a train to go to upstate New York to do dubbing. And Joe is the greatest guy. So it was so worth it.
Yeah, I kind of appreciated that 47-minute train ride because I would get to like read, listen to music, look out on the Hudson River. And I had a lot of sessions that were late in the day. So I got those sunsets on the river and it was great. But yeah, it was a trek.
Nice.
Where was this in upstate New York again? I'm sorry if I missed you.
I'm not actually Tara at all. It was like on the way to upstate New York because upstate New York's really like Austin-y. Yeah, it's Poughkeepsie. It's Poughkeepsie. It's the Hudson Line. Yeah, Brighton Beach.
I'm a Jersey girl. I'm from Jersey. We called that upstate New York.
It is.
Oh no, that's like right across the Poughkeepsie is where I grew up.
Okay.
And when I would hear all the the city New Yorkers call that upstate New York, I'm like, what are you talking about? We're only like an hour from the city. I was like, to me, upstate was like, that's like Albany. That's when you start getting upstate.
Yeah.
Fine. Well, see, that's the thing. New York is so much bigger than people realize it is. The state of New York. Yeah.
It's huge.
That's funny. But Joe DeGiorgi did some great work up. He still does. He's a great guy who we all were so grateful to work for. So that's so cool if that was one of your very first.
I think it was think it was my first. And I was in a show that I have read so much hatred for. It is a ridiculous plot. It's called Virgin Fleet.
Excellent.
Yes, and the planes that the girls piloted were powered not by gasoline or pilot fuel, but by Virgin Energy. Yeah, but it was a wholesome show. Like it, as much as it might sound like something else, it wasn't. Like it was a very just high school girls piloting planes with the power of their Virgin Energy. Look, I don't know, girl. I don't know. What is our lives? What even are we doing? That was my first lead. That was my first lead in New York. And that was with Joe DeGiorgi and Mike Albin, who, rest in peace, is no longer with us. But Mike actually had brought me in. I'd met Mike somewhere so long ago, and Mike introduced me to Joe. And then I worked on a lot of shows with Joe, and I'm still working with Joe. We just actually wrapped a show last year. I recorded it out of my own space. Yeah. Joe is still an amazing, recording engineer, audio engineer, mixer.
Amazing. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you're still working with him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit him up. I would love to do that with him again. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So you must have known a little bit about 4Kids. Did you know that Pokemon was being done in New York? Because it looks like your first 4Kids role was like the second season of Pokemon, which is really early on. So what did you know at that point?
And I think that was also 99. I think I moved to New York in 99 and I just found my people immediately. I don't know how I got that audition, but I got an audition and, what was your question? Just like, what was my first experience or?
Yeah. I mean, did you know a lot about Pokemon? Like, did you even know that Pokemon was being done in New York? Okay.
Yes. Like Pokemon. Okay. Oh my God. So I had been in Texas when Pokemon came out and it was all the crazy, it was all anyone talked about. Like even people at the grocery store, Pokemon was everywhere. And so at ADV, which I was still working, Pokemon had come out and I'd watched, I thought, this is adorable. Like, this is just the cutest thing ever. It was precious. And so when I got up there, the show had already been going on for, I think, like 6 or 7 months, possibly 9, even a year. I can't remember. But I remember it, I had an audition coming up and there's just this guy on the street going, yo, my kid's so into this, this Pikachu. What's this Pikachu? It's like this rat. Everybody was talking about Pokemon. It was wild. And so I was so glad that I got this audition, and when they called me and they're like, we want to book you, and I was so happy because it was like, it was like the lead in like one of their episodes. So it wasn't a reoccurring role, but like she had like a lot of lines, and like it focused on her and her Raichu because she was a Raichu trainer.
So you were Kay. She played, just so like I can, you guys don't all have to look this up. She played Kay in season 2, episode 10. The title, and I do love the title, is Dance Pokémon Showboat. The titles of those episodes were the best. I do love them.
That episode was so out of control, Tara.
But see, I love this because, again, like you and I were so used to, I mean, Pokemon was weirdly my first anime job, but after that I was so used to like you working on stuff that like very few people saw. So to be part of an anime that you knew was a high profile thing must have been pretty exciting. I'm guessing.
It was super exciting. It was super exciting. It's exactly where I wanted to be. It's exactly what I wanted to work on. I'd heard of 4Kids. And I had just started to meet all of you except for you, which is just makes me so mad.
Again, weird. Wait, so when you got to New York and went to the studio and nobody said to you, hey, you got to pick up the script and the VHS tape a week beforehand, were you like, what? Like,
I was
were you like waiting for them to?
I might have even asked. In fact, I don't remember if I did or not, but I wouldn't put it past myself because I was like the consummate like actor to not to say that other people weren't, because they weren't asking for that, but how would they know to?
They didn't even think to. Yeah.
Oh, but I probably might have asked the director, hey, so thanks for casting me, and I know my session's next week. When would you like me to come by and get the VHS and the scripts? I'm sure I said that, and then they were like, we literally don't do that, and you're a sweet, cute Texas girl, and that's not what we do here.
I hope that happened and that they got a good laugh out of it. So, like, around this time, so, I mean, you know how New York and 4Kids were, like, once you were kind of there, you get pulled into other stuff. So I think Magical Do Re Mi probably happened.
Yeah.
Maybe a year or two later, you also worked. What other 4Kids shows? Because IMDb doesn't get everything right. So what 4Kids shows do you remember working on?
Honestly, it was just Pokemon. And for sure, Magical Do Re Mi, and I feel like I'm missing one.
Go Riki.
Was I in Go Riki? I was in Go Riki.
It says you were Olga Riki. It says 40. Again, this is probably wrong. It says you were in 41 episodes, and you were Olga Riki, which I feel like you would have remembered if you did 41 episodes.
I think that's wrong, and I would have remembered a reoccurring role of 41 episodes. IMDb is wrong sometimes.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
Olga Riki,
maybe we'll try to find, I don't know how easy it's going to be to find a soundbite of Olga Riki. Steve, I don't want to make you do that job. We'll figure this out.
I have to find Olga Riki.
Find Olga Riki. Yeah. I might have been something else in Go Riki, but yeah, no, not a reoccurring. I honestly think that I might have just been in Magical Do Re Mi and Pokemon. I'm trying to think.
Let's talk about Magical Do Re Mi and what your experience was like on that show, because that's a show we haven't talked a lot about on here. So if you could just tell us any memories of that.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, adorable, cute, magical witch show. These girls are, I think it's a Hidden Identity Hannah Montana thing. Oh man, I'm going to really disappoint your fans. I don't remember if it's a witch school or if it's like a normal school, and these three witch girls were incognito and they couldn't let anyone know. I can't remember which it is.
Something like that. That's okay.
Either or. But my role, which I love that they did this. They had two older witches who were twin sisters and could not have been more polar opposite. They had a voluptuous one in pink who spoke like everything she said was in an opera voice, and that was voiced by the amazing Erica Schroeder.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, I think her name was Mona. And then, and she was very tall and very, full figured and just pink and, and then they had, and all full of life and energy and all that. And then they had Drona, who was short and like rail thin and green and droopy eyed. And she talked with a very, very thick accent, and she droned on and on.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, it was opposite land. It was so great. I love that they just did that with for the two characters. And so the girls, when it came time, because they had to go through these tests to make sure that their witchy skills were, it's like us, our driver's license. Like, do we need another driving test? Get our eyes checked, whatever. So they would go in for their witch tests, and the two twin, wise sisters, witches, would give them their tests and see if they could pass, and then go to their next level of witchdom. It was adorable. I loved it, and that was my first time to ever have a show that I had voiced be on TV, because everything went to VHS or DVD.
Right. Well, Pokémon, but that was one episode. Yeah.
Yes. And back to the Pokémon, because I have ADHD, that episode only aired once and then it was pulled. And we can talk about that.
Oh, please do. Tell us why.
Yeah.
Steve even looks confused. Steve, wait, do you want to guess?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would guess.
Yes.
Okay.
You can try.
Well, that would be entertaining. Let's see.
Is it the episode where? Is it the episode where Brock is in?
No. Are we talking like one of the classic episodes?
No.
I'm trying to.
It's
season
classic.
2.
It's classic. It's like episode 96 if you're counting like all of them, 94 and 96.
Is that the one with James with breasts?
Okay.
Was that it? Was it the Jinx episode?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it's a
That's
Jinx
why.
episode. Okay. Tell us. Explain it to us who don't know.
I don't know if it was. Well, hold on. I'm not going to spoil it. I want Steve to tell it. I don't know if it's the Jinx episode, but it's Jinx related. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, Steve. Now you go. What do you think it was?
Well, yeah. If my guess is correct, it's the Jinx episode. I think that's it's like a Christmas themed one, where I think. Okay.
Nope.
Hey there, travelers. Kaylee Cuoco here. Sorry to interrupt your music, great artist BT Dubs, but wouldn't you rather be there to hear it live? With Priceline, you can get out of your dreams and into your dream concert. They've got millions of travel deals to get you to that festival, gig, rave, sound bath, or sonic experience you've been dreaming of. Download the Priceline app today, and you can save up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights. So don't just dream about that trip. Book it with Priceline.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Okay, Jessica, you tell us.
Wait, what happened with the Jinx episode with the Christmas themed? Was it like
no?
that
It's just
or something?
the character design.
The character of Jinx, they had to take out. Yeah, because it is offensive. Yeah.
Okay. So I had a fan tell me this, a fan of Pokemon, not necessarily like a fan of me, but like a fan of Pokemon, and I'm wondering if this person might have mistaken this fact for the Jinx Christmas episode, because this person said, did you know that the episode that you're in was pulled because right after it aired, Jinx got a redesign and they didn't want the original Jinx shown anymore. So, but I've never seen the episode that I'm in, and so I don't know if Jinx is in there or not. So, but that either that person is wrong and they're confusing it with the Christmas episode, because the one that I'm in took place on a cruise ship. But Jinx might have been in it. I don't remember.
Interesting. Okay. To our listeners, tag us and tell us what you know about this. So have you tried to find the episode and it's just not even findable? Or you haven't tried to find it?
I found it one time and then it was gone. And I don't even remember where I found it. I think someone sent it to me. And I wish it's actually, so I'm in my studio right now, but outside of my studio are old VHSs and I have the VHS episode that I'm in. Yeah,
okay.
I have
well,
it.
This is something
right over there.
We might make you digitize for us one day if someone is not able to find this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm so glad you told us about that episode because that is important. But then Magical Do-Re-Mi, I love those two characters. There was something. So what's so interesting about Magical Do-Re-Mi, and I never worked on it, but I didn't know this at the time. It fulfilled, so 4Kids, by having that block, had to have some educational content. And I believe that Magical Do-Re-Mi was fulfilling that educational content. And I can't even really imagine how. Huh. Steve, remember someone telling us about that? Was it? I think it was Magical Do-Re-Mi. I don't really know what was educational about it.
Do-Re-Mi off the top of my head. But this is the kind of stuff that was airing like in the 7 a.m. slot. So I think, I think that would have been before that show was on. Because I'm pretty sure that show was like more like a later morning one, like 10:30, 11:30. Okay.
Yeah, they would kind of pair them together based on like, are they girl specific or whatever. So, okay, so you're doing this job, you're working all over New York. Mm-hmm. And you're doing theater.
Yes.
What kind and you said you worked at a bookstore. Did you have any other funny jobs at this point? I love hearing about the funny jobs.
Oh my God. Well, as a starving artist, I had jobs at different points in my life in New York where I was handing out pamphlets on the street for cell phone companies.
Okay. You're just annoying people with pieces of paper,
completely annoying people with pieces of paper. I did. I actually worked for not anime conventions, but just like big seminar conventions where you had like 5 minutes of training and then you were expected to know everything about the Jacob Javits Center and like walk people around. Like Jacob Javits Center is like eight football fields, giant. It's so big. Yeah, it's so big. But yeah, I just did various. I worked in a boutique for a while, a very, very tiny boutique. But then found some more stability when I worked for Barnes and Noble in the Chelsea location. Yeah.
What? I used to kill so much time there. It's unbelievable because in between all the commercial casting places were in that area. So literally it was my second home. I can't believe we don't know each other. Now we do.
We met at some point. We just didn't know it.
I'm looking at like your IMDb too. Like we overlapped in so many Central Park media shows. So it's so strange. You mentioned earlier when you were talking about Houston, you mentioned conventions. So you were going to like early days at anime conventions, right?
I did. I went to I started like 99, which is a big year. Like I moved to New York and was even more serious about a voice acting career because I kept getting work. It was fantastic. I was getting stage work too, but I was really getting a lot of voice work. So yeah, I started going to conventions and those were so different. Oh my goodness gracious.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah. What was the vibe? What was the scene like at a convention back then?
Well, it was all about, and I don't disagree with this at all. It was all about the Japanese guests. It should have been. I mean, if they could get a Japanese voice artist to come over, or manga, or comic book, or director of a series, that they would bring those people over. And so when it came time for like the English speaking voice actors, boy howdy did they not care. So if we wanted to drive up, sure, maybe they'd give us a hotel room and they'd put like 4 or 5 of us in one hotel room. We'd have to carpool. They didn't give us no gas money. They didn't buy us lunch, nothing. We would have panels. Sometimes they were canceled. They didn't tell us. Sometimes, I mean, it was just like they just did not care. And
I don't mean to laugh at your pain, but it's funny.
Well, it was funny. It just like they would have autograph panels for us. Like no one would show up, or people would show up and be like, "Why are you here?" And we're like, that's a great question. Why are we here? And it's so different now because like now it's like the rock stars are, mostly the, English, the VAs. And then a convention is lucky to get a Japanese voice actor. I just met one. I met my counterpart the actress who plays Hanji in Attack on Titan, the Japanese Seiyu, Romy Park. Yeah, the OG, man. I met her and I cried. I was like, it is such an honor. I probably scared her because I could not hold back my emotions, and she's so lovely and so calm, and I was like, and she's like, okay, nice to meet you.
Oh, I love that you got to meet her. That makes me so happy.
She was wonderful. But yeah, conventions, it's now opposite. Like it's mostly, I'm not complaining. I just recognize the differences. We didn't have merch. Now if you want to get a piece commissioned of a character you voiced, you find an artist, you commission them. Back then, it just wasn't being done. We didn't have merch. We would sign programs. We didn't charge for anything. And that started happening, I think, around the mid 2000s. People started like, hey, there's actually a lucrative business to be made here, and we can make some money by going to these conventions. And that's where all that changed. And then when Funko Pop, when the pop fandom came along, that changed the whole trajectory. Like now it's all about, really is all about merch and Funko Pops and, how many do you have? And it's, so
crazy.
It's crazy.
What's the character that you get asked about the most, and what's the most obscure character that you're kind of excited when someone mentions?
So most obscure would definitely be back in my ADV films days. It has a very specific cult following. It's called Excel Saga. Steve, do you know Excel Saga?
I've never watched it, but I just know of it through reputation. Like I remember that when I was like getting an anime, I was always seeing talk of that show. I knew it was a zany show from ADV way back in the day, but I've never found the time to watch it, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, and you might have too many brain cells for it. Honestly, it is. Yeah, it is, and that's not to say people are stupid for watching it, but like people always joke about like I had brain cells and now I've got one after watching Excel Saga. On the back of the DVD, it says they can't get away with this now, but it is printed on the back of the DVD and the VHS, which I still have. It says "Anime on Crack." Yeah, it's wild.
They're honest.
Yeah. At least they're honest. And then the credits, like they've screwed around so much with the credits. Like they said, Miss Calvello's straight jacket costume designer. Like they messed with like.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's fun.
It was also back in the day. We were allowed in some of these shows that we did. We could put bloopers on them. Like there's some shows I did, like Megan Hollingshead and myself. Yeah, we play the sisters in Kari Kano, and they decided to recreate the coming attractions. And what the Japanese did was they had the two the Japanese Seiyu who played the sisters IRL, so in real life, and they're with their scripts and they're reading the coming attractions. So they had Megan and I do that as well, and they just like hired out a space for one day, and Megan and I brought like our entire wardrobe, and we're like doing makeup, and we were there for 6 hours, and we just
how fun.
It was so fun, and it's on the DVD. Like it's but like they don't do stuff like that anymore. You just don't know. So that stuff's pretty rich.
Yeah, Kari Kano I haven't seen the English version of, but now that you bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's effort. Saying to do the English version of that. But I'm sorry, I'm just getting over feeling my age when, you're asked like, oh, what's an obscure character? And you say Excel. And I'm like, oh, I've been in this game for too long. Because I'm thinking like, oh yeah, she's Excel.
Not as long as us.
That would be one of my go-tos here. So yeah, I
didn't say older character, Steve. I said obscure. There's a difference, darling.
Of course. No, what I'm saying is just like, because I think that show was very prominent in like anime fandom when I was like coming in. It was like one of those shows that just always saw like people posting clips from or using it to make AMVs and stuff. So I just feel I think of it as a staple. So now to hear it's obscure, and I'm like, a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
So did I save myself there?
You saved yourself. But were you reading manga at this point, Jessica? Like, because I didn't even know what manga was during this whole time.
I knew what manga was. And I've actually read one manga series my whole life, and I love it. It's called Peach Girl. It's so wonderful and charming, and then they did make an anime called Peach Girl too. But the manga, they, like a lot of shows, it just kind of stopped, sort of ended, and like ran out of money, and they didn't finish it. And the manga actually finishes. But no, I knew what it was. Like for ADV, that group started in the very, like I said, 1991, and they are, and I'm not saying anything about them that they haven't said about themselves. They're a bunch of nerds that were into anime, and they just started an animation, a dubbing company. Like, that's badass. They didn't have anything. They were doing LAN parties. If you want to feel your age, they were doing LAN parties. You know,
I don't know what that means.
Oh, Steve, shall I or shall you tell Tara what a LAN party is?
Jessica.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Oh my God, should I just Google it?
A LAN party is
tell you
basically,
what comes up?
you know, if from my recollection, it's a bunch of people just all in the room together with their desktop setups, like their entire computer.
Oh, a LAN party. I thought you said land. So a LAN, LAN party is everyone's with their big ass computers meeting up.
Everyone has the space in their jumbo jet to be, having a get together.
Wow.
But I also think that they hooked up their VCRs to each other too, right? Couldn't you also like do a LAN party with like VCRs and like?
I feel like that is possible. I'm not.
Yeah, I think like we're talking like 80s. Yeah, I'm not either.
So I guess my question is when you were working in Texas, you were working with these self-proclaimed nerds, right? Who knew this stuff and who read the manga and who loved anime. And then you come to New York where, not that they didn't like anime, but it was more of a commerce thing. And again, there was, especially at 4Kids, they said they wanted to Americanize things. A lot of the directors I know knew as much about anime as I did, which was very little. So what was the difference between working in Texas for ADV versus coming to New York, where the properties were just treated differently?
Yeah. I think that I think there were things I missed about both in both instances. Like, for example, me coming into anime, I mean, I did watch Speed Racer. I did know what anime was when my friend Sharon Shaughnessy had brought it up to me. And so when I was in my first voice jobs with ADV, I was like, oh, I know what this is. And it was cool to work with people who were so passionate about the product. I would get backstory on all the things because whoever I was working with probably had read the manga, the comic book. They had original cells from the shows. They were collectors. They went to conventions. And it was really immersive. And I really appreciated that. And also what I really, really liked, this was probably my favorite thing. I liked that we always listened to the Japanese first before we recorded. Because in Texas, this is back then. I'm not saying that's the way it is now. They didn't use the tones, the beep, beep, beep.
Oh, okay. You didn't do that. Okay.
They would go, it was just like, we're going to play we're going to show you just 3 to 5 seconds before your line and then just come in. And so you would really just sort of follow along with the Japanese and kind of figure out where your line was. So as you can imagine, the process took a lot longer. It wasn't as technical, right? So, but then there were also really cool things that came with it. And then going to New York, still a lot of the because I did work for so many different studios. Some of them used the tone, some of them didn't use. No, actually, all of them at the time used the beeps. Now it's different. And so that was more technical. And I did still work with some wonderfully geeky directors who might have been a fan of the show. But a lot of times it was like, oh, you're here for your session. Let's get in. Let's do it. And I was always like, well, are we going to watch the Japanese first? They'd be like, sure, if you want to. And I was like, oh.
Right. You'd have to like assert yourself and say that. Yeah.
And so I kind of missed that geeky part. But then also I would work a lot faster, which meant I would have more time to do other things that I needed to do. A 4-hour session for ADV might be a 2-hour session working for a studio that was more focused on production and more of commerce, like you said. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, too, you were at a place in your career where you were a great cold reader at that point. I think it kind of sounds like the progression was really good because you got all that information when you were in Texas and you could do. And then by the time you were kind of a seasoned person at this, you were in the more corporate is the wrong word, but clinical setting, and you could just go in and read the script and be ready to do it and knock it out in 2 hours or whatever it was. So I think that was probably incredible training for you.
I really feel that, I think I said this before, like you could just shoot me out of a cannon. I've worked every single way you could imagine. And even a new way was introduced. So coming back to Texas to work for ADV, for Sentai, there's some directors there that literally hit record and you just keep going until you flub or until somebody wants to stop. Yeah. You just, because they want it to be more like a staged reading. And I was fascinated. I was like, wait, so this isn't a 3 to 5 second show me before the line. No, this isn't the tones. No.
Wow.
You're just going to hit record. They're like, yeah. And who introduced me to working that way was beloved Chris Ayers. Rest in peace. Yeah. One of my best friends. I can't.
It was hard. It's so sad.
I know.
Yeah.
But he was, sorry.
But this is such no, it's okay. You're allowed to have feelings. And this is such a nice memory of him. And I love that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Take your time. And he's someone that I'm actually really, he hasn't come up on the podcast before, but he was such a staple of this industry. So I'm really grateful that you brought him up. And please take your time and compose yourself before you're ready to talk again.
Yeah, I don't know if there will ever come a time when I say his name and don't cry, but that is okay because
that's great.
Yeah, you're
keeping his memory alive, and you have good memories.
Yeah. I loved him. He was a wonderful actor, and I also had the pleasure of working with him on stage when I lived in Houston before I went to New York. He directed me in a couple of plays, and so when I came back to Texas to continue my work in the dubbing industry, I was beyond thrilled to see that he was now a prominent not only actor, but a director. And so getting to work with him on stage and now getting to work with him on mic, I was thrilled because he is such an actor's director, like to the core. Mm-hmm. I love Chris. And he was the one who first introduced me to the bizarre. I mean, I thought it was wild what he was saying. He said, no, I'm just going to hit record. And he's like, I will scroll. Because I was also getting used to this concept of everything being digital now. The script was on the monitor on my left and the animation was on the monitor to my right. And I just stood in the studio and I went from left to right and read the words and looked at the animation and did my best. And he would scroll the script as they do. And we would just go. And he goes, what happens when I work this way? He goes, even if you screw up, if you can get to the next line, go to the next line. And then what we would do is we would work for a long time. Then we would take a long break. Then we would come back and we would go through every single line by line. And it was a collaborative effort between me and Chris and the engineer. And it never failed. And he said this, he goes, we will keep 75% of your first takes because they are organic and you didn't have to think about it. You just did it.
Yes.
Yeah. It was so wild.
I'm doing a live action dub right now. We do watch it beforehand, but then we do go in and do a whole scene, and it's my favorite way to work. And you're so right. I screw it up, and then they go try to place what they can. but it's a better performance. But I do get to watch it first, so there's that.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
I'm like you, and this is so interesting, and I don't want to keep you for too much longer because it's been a while.
No, I'm good.
I'm like you, and I like to hear the Japanese first. There's so many actors who say, no, I want to take my own take on it. And tell me where you land on this. My reason for wanting to see the Japanese first is that often they get to know the writer, or there's an original director there that they get information from that we don't get as the American dubbers. So I want to give them the respect of listening to that. And maybe there's instances where they have no idea what they're doing and the director would have hated it if they had been in the room. But I do think I owe it to them to listen to that original performance. Mm-hmm. What's your take on it?
I feel the same way you do. I feel like it honors the original language that the show is in, which is always important. Your original source material is the original source material. Yeah. I also like to hear the inflections. I will try to match them in a way that makes sense. I mean, obviously, if they're saying konnichiwa and my line is hello, they're not, it might not work. Well, it worked out just now because I gave a good example, but it's not always that clear. It's not always that we can actually give the same inflection in English that we give in Japanese. I mean, that's, of course not. I mean, that's what I said.
Sometimes it works. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. But I like to hear them first. And even when I did work with Chris, and we didn't listen to the Japanese first, we hit record and go. But the second time around, which was the second part of the acting session, was we did listen to the Japanese, we did listen to my line, and we still kept most of my one take. So I've actually gotten a little bent out of shape before when a director has said, I don't really have an interest in listening to the Japanese. I will always fight for that and say, well, are you opposed to being open to me requesting, may I listen to the Japanese first? I think I've only had one time where the director said no, and I really had to process how that made me feel. But as actors, we are also conduits, and we do what we're told to do. And so all we can do is voice, our opinions or whatever. Yeah. But I feel the same way you do. I really want to hear the Japanese first, and then I want to say my line.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it too, because I do animation where I do the American version first, and then it goes to other countries to be dubbed. And I'm just trying to think, I'm often in the room with the creators and producers or writers, and they give me notes, and sometimes they have a reason for me doing a specific reading that it's because something's coming up in a future episode. Things that maybe we don't know. And I think about, okay, let's say they're dubbing Rainbow High in Spanish or whatever it is, like a show I work on. I kind of hope they listen to me first, because I got more insight than they get. You know what I mean? It's not because I think I'm so good. It's because I think I sometimes have information that they might not get. And that's why I've done a line a certain way. And again, if they want to go make it their own, there's plenty of lines that I just say in a haphazard way, and it's because I think it's funny, and then ignore me and go for it. But yeah, I don't know. That's just
I feel you. I feel you.
Oh, one of the questions I asked you before, and we got sidetracked, was what's the character that you get asked to sign the most for? Even though I think I do know this, but what do you think it is?
What do you think it is, Tara?
Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
So that's what you're signing most for these days.
Yeah, that I have got I've got a Hanji Funko, and Hanji's getting a new Funko Pop. They are getting a new outfit. They are getting a new outfit change later on this summer that drops. And yeah, that is the character that I mean, the Attack on Titan fan base is rabid and large, and it is such a great show. I was keeping up with it for a while myself. I was watching it. And Hanji is such a great role, so much light and dark in there. And yeah, that is definitely the role in the show that people mostly want to talk to me about.
Okay, and I want to ask you a couple fan questions before we talk about what you're doing today. Blue Baron wants to know, are you surprised or shocked about which shows become hits? Because you've worked on a lot of shows. Are you surprised with like, oh, Attack on Titan happens to be the big one? Or, wow, this one was really great. Why is no one watching it?
Yeah, sometimes. I actually did. I was in a show called Life Lessons with Uramachi Onisan. And that is an underrated dark comedy. Every actor should watch it. It is a musical. They let me actually break out my traditional Inca singing. Like I have a tiny bit of Inca training, like for those people who don't know what Inca is, it's Japanese opera, which is slightly different than, not just because of the language, but the warble, the vibrato is different. And I got to sing a little bit of that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the music was so hard. It's a Crunchyroll dub, and like hardly anyone has ever heard of it. And it just blows my mind because it is good theater. The characters are rich. It's a very dark comedy. So yeah, like that shocks me that's not bigger. But the biggest show that I've ever been in, when I say the biggest show that I've ever been in terms of like fandom, would be Attack on Titan, and that one doesn't surprise me because I actually watched that show before I even knew who had the dub. It wasn't even like, I hope I get to be in this. Yeah, it was like, I wonder if this is going to be dubbed. This is a really cool show. I was watching it because I just thought it was so great.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it was really cool to zero in on Hanji when that character finally showed up. And I was like, all right, I don't know who has this dub, but I really want to get an audition for this because that character is incredible and the show is incredible and it's wild. So I was like super, super lucky. Yeah, I was super lucky.
That.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have a question from Bunny Chew. They want to know if you remember any of your characters' lines. Now, I know you did do a reenactment of "The doors will close." Are there any other lines that, like what, is there one that everyone wants you to sign when you sign autographs or things like that?
So if I get requests for like Excel Saga, which was has a pretty big cult following at this point, they'll want me to do like, Hail Il Palazzo, or Minchie is good food. Minchie is the dog that she's always trying to eat. I did name one of my dogs Minchie, by the way. I don't try to eat him, but his name is Minchie. Honey Flash from Cutie Honey. And then I actually ended up having to print out like 20 plus quotes from Hanji because people want Hanji quotes. And so I've got like a whole slew of them at my table for people to choose from. I remember the voices, how they sounded, even from like a lot of the earlier stuff I did.
Oh, wow.
Like that show, that Indiana Jones show, the Ruin Explorers. The character I played was Pham, and she's half squirrel and half Wiccan. And she talks like this because she's magical, but she messes up all of her spells all the time, and she gets really frustrated. She's like,
that's
I remember
so cute.
all that. Yeah, I remember all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we let you go, just tell us like a little bit about what you are up to today, where we can find you, and people can follow you online and all that stuff.
Oh, yay! Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Oh,
yeah.
Great.
No, thank you. I'm everywhere at Jessica Calvello. I'm on IG, Instagram. I recently got a Blue Sky. I'm on the X, but I'm not posting as much anymore because it scares me. I do have a Discord. Which I think is listed on my Instagram bio page.
And we'll put links to we'll put links to these things in the show notes. I know you're still actively working in VO. You're also streaming. Is that correct? I don't really understand streaming, to be honest.
No, that's okay. I was streaming. I was streaming on Twitch for a while, and that was kind of an experiment. And that was fun. I did it for a few months, and I was like, okay. I mean, we had some good Rocket League games and some Among Us and stuff. And if someone wants to have me on their Twitch stream, I'll join in. But that was kind of a short-lived thing.
Okay, you got it out of your system. Yeah,
I think I have. Yeah, and now I understand that people are streaming on YouTube, and maybe that'll be the next thing I try. Who knows?
Ooh, well, thank you, Jessica.
You're
What's your middle name? Jessica Calvello. What's your middle name?
I don't like my middle. It's Tara. No, I'm going to say my middle name is Tara.
Okay.
Yeah, I love my middle name. It's Jessica Tara Calvello.
Oh, now you've made me want to know it so much more than I did before.
I don't like it. I don't like my middle name.
Well, that's better than some of our guests who have no middle name. And that made me mad.
Is it wrong to not have a middle name? Is it wrong if you don't have a middle name?
No, but they wanted one. I just was sad for them because they wanted one. There were a few guests. Yeah, multiple guests.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I feel like I derailed everything. Did you not want to talk about the Pokemon episode?
Oh,
wait, was there more? Wait, Jessica, tell us more. I didn't know you had more.
There's so much more about that episode.
Yes, please do.
Are you sure?
Go. Oh my God, no, this is our dream. Yes.
Okay. Because to this day, I think about that episode and I wonder just what. So the episode, like I said, it takes place on a cruise ship. And there is I play Kay, the Raichu trainer. So she has newly acquired her Raichu as her Pokemon. And she's very confused because she doesn't understand why her Raichu keeps shocking her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
that's what its nature is to do.
Hello,
that, right?
It's an electrical Pokemon. Why are you?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Why are you confused by this? So I mean, you caught it, right? Or I don't know. Did she catch the Pikachu and it evolved? I don't know. I can't really have a good intelligent conversation about Pokemon. I'm not that well versed in it, but I do know that it's kind of ridiculous if you're a Raichu trainer to be upset with your Pokemon for doing what it does. But the episode gets interesting because she's not able to control it. And so she gets a little frustrated. And so what that does to Raichu is that starts to make Raichu feel like Raichu's not being a good Pokemon. So they start to have conflict. And it gets really I don't know, in my opinion, it gets a little intense. And so they have to call upon Pikachu to give therapy to Kay and to Raichu so that Kay understands this is our nature. This is what electrical Pokemon do. And so she finally learns, and it ends up being this wonderful learning lesson where she's able to accept. And I feel like that is the larger message of the episode is learning to accept others as they are. And not to get frustrated with them just because they're not performing the way that you think that they should, because that's to pigeonhole something like that or to make someone feel badly. And it really just came down to communication, which is what Pikachu did. Pikachu, there was literally this little therapy session where Pikachu's like, look, Pika, 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 Pika. And Raichu's like, Raichu. And they're shocking. And then Kay's like, okay, fine. And then she's finally like, I'm not scared anymore. And it's really emotional.
Oh.
It gets really emotional because she decides to hold Raichu as tight as possible to show Raichu that she's not scared anymore. And Raichu freaks out and shocky. But Kay won't let go. She won't let go. It's beautiful. But the journey to get there.
That's very intense. Yeah.
The journey to get there was really something else. And then what I found hilarious, the way they ended it was the Pokemon were putting on a show for the cruise ship audience. And the trainers were behind this black curtain, right? But I thought it was very meta and very funny because the Pokemon were mouthing as the trainers were talking. So the trainers were acting like they're Pokemon. So, because Raichu doesn't speak English at all, and Raichu was also kept in the original Japanese. Because I don't want to confuse people. A lot of people think that I was also the voice of Raichu. I was never the voice of Raichu. Raichu was kept in the Japanese. I was just the trainer for that one episode. But like, I do remember Kay, like, it shows like all the trainers behind this black curtain, and Kay's like doing like waving her arms. And so Raichu is waving their arms, and Kay's going, "Let's gentlemen," because apparently that's how Kay thinks Raichu would sound. And so Raichu's flapping, going, "Let's gentlemen." It's so bizarre.
Yeah, that sounds bizarre. I'm gonna go with you that word on this. Yeah.
And the reason why I bring this up is because I don't really expect people to remember, episode 96 from season 2 or episode 10 from season 2. Right? So long ago. It's not a reoccurring role. You
but
never saw Kay again.
Memorable episode.
But people come up to me and they go, "Hey, I watched that episode and I'm really glad that you learned some respect." I'm like, tell it to me. Yeah, I cannot agree with you more. Like, I was begging for someone to help Kay understand that Raichus need special attention, and thank goodness for Pikachu. So it was a very memorable, interesting episode.
I'm so glad you made us go back to that, because that is worth, oh my God. Thank you. That's
you're welcome, I guess.
And I love that that's your one Pokemon episode.
And it's a shame that it's hard to
get you back in Pokemon. You will find it.
I will send you a picture of the VHS. It's right there.
I don't think it's officially lost.
Probably not. I think Pokemon's big enough that someone got the jump, but it's not on like the DVDs or streaming or anything like that.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate.
They had pulled it. Yeah, it was an interesting one. Yeah,
it sounds like a fever dream. Like some of. That's what everyone says about like fighting foodons. Like, did that show really happen? Like,
I've never heard of that show. What was it?
Well, it was another 4Kids show, Fighting Foodons. It was basically Pokemon, but with food.
Oh God, I thought you were saying futons.
Oh, that's even funnier. That's way funnier. That's like a land party. We've had a lot of misunderstandings. Okay, thank you. I'm so glad that happened. I'm gonna I'm officially releasing you now, Jessica. I know I don't want to put a date on this episode because it might not air for a while, but I'm so excited to see you next month.
Yes.
We're gonna hug it out. Thank you for taking your time to do this.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad that you wanted me on your podcast. This is so cool.
Jessica Calvello, let's hear it. Whoa! Woohoo! That was super fun, and I'm so glad I'm glad she told that story at the end.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, crazy. And yeah, I'm not lying too. That episode does sound familiar, but yeah, I would have seen it probably a total of once. So
Right. So yeah, I don't think it's lost media or we'd be hearing about it. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. And also, I'll just out Jessica as being like a really, really generous and kind person. She doesn't like to take credit for it all the time, but like when Rachel Lillis passed, she was just so helpful and supportive, and she's just a really good person. And I'm really glad that we've had time together now because I consider her a friend, and I'm very grateful for that. So
yeah, for
we had
two people whose paths never
Yeah.
crossed. Yeah, you guys seem thick as thieves.
Well, I don't even know if we talked about this during. I don't remember if Jessica and I talked about this during the interview or if it was before the interview. But she and I had just this amazing dinner together at a convention one night. Where like, was just a very bonding. It's so dorky and cliche and woo woo, but we just had when you have those dinners with somebody and you're like, oh, okay, I get you, I know you now, I know who you are. Yeah, so very grateful. Oh, Steve, I didn't ask you during the intro what your shirt says.
Oh, I figured I might be asked. It's a shirt of Zoro and Sanji from One Piece, but it's it's one from
it's a nice one.
From Yeti that I got a few years ago.
Good looking shirt.
Thank you. Now I have to make sure that I dress up for every podcast, and by that I just mean put on a shirt. That's a conversation starter. So.
And because you live so close to Universal Studios, I have to know if you went. There was a One Piece thing going on there. It's still going on. What?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now when this airs, it will be over. But how was that?
I did go to that. Yeah. Had a good time. I go to Universal, fairly often, but went there with some friends, and the One Piece stuff was cool. I mean, the fact that we had walk around characters for One Piece in a park in the U.S. is kind of crazy. So I thought had to experience that, and it's. Me trying to improv my best with a bunch of park actors there, because it's just like, man. I don't go there and just be like, hi, photo, thank you. Like, it's like, it's like I gotta treat them like they're the character. But the Sanji one, I was just like, because I didn't get to meet the Sanji till very late at night. He kept ducking and dodging me, but I was like, sir, there's a I gave him a firm handshake too. Like, it was like hand and palm over his. I'm just like, sir.
Okay, but I need to know, was it like a Mickey Mouse where Sanji had a big head that looked like Sanji?
No.
Or was it
live actors, yeah.
Okay,
They do have some costumes like that, but they're usually, they're kind of weird. Like, I know, Luffy threw out the first pitch at Fenway Park, and it was a costume. Yeah.
Yeah, like a big head.
But I think the cool things was there was... I don't know if you like Back to the Future at all, but
of course I do.
Like, how like the Hill Valley set is part of like, the back. They have that open to walk around in. They have
that's cool.
Like like photo ops and all that, but they have like actors kind of reenacting like the whole storyline there. It's I called it like a dinner theater. It's like you go there and you
really
watch
cool.
So that was like one of the highlights.
Yeah. There's a whole Jujutsu Kaisen thing going on.
Yeah, they brought in the show from USJ that I missed when I was there in Japan, but I saw that.
I was bummed. A bunch of my castmates went, but I did not, and I'm bummed because now it's kind of over. And
I you know what? I talked about you when I was there too, because I was talking about friends. I was talking with my friends when we were in USJ, and at the time. They had...
I don't know what USJ means. I'm sorry.
Universal Studios Japan.
Oh, thank you. I was
sorry.
I think I'm supposed to know. Okay, Universal Studios Japan. Yes.
Good. But at the time, they had Bulbasaur souvenir sipper cups. It was just like a figure, and you put the straw in the bulb. And I was like, if it was just like, if I went there like a year like after that, I would have known you and I would have gotten you one. So.
Oh man, if you knew the amount of Bulbasaur stuff that I have,
and this would be another one.
I know, and it's such a confusing thing, and I'm sure this happens with when like your mom finds out you like something and then you just have a lot of it, and you're like, I don't like frogs that much.
That's what they get you every Christmas. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So like, because I
sorry, not for you.
Mom.
Sorry,
I'm. Yeah, no. I remember you, but people give me, and I love the Bulbasaur stuff, and I do keep it all. But at a certain point, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And luckily now, and I don't give away necessarily things I get. Like if something's handmade, I would never give it away. But
no,
my cousin's kids are now really into Pokemon, so there is some stuff like I have that's like some 3D printed stuff or certain things. But again, never the drawings or the handmade stuff. I would never give that away. But now I have kids to buy stuff for, and I'm really nervous I'm going to overdo it. So I'm going to try not to.
No, I get that. You want to make that experience worthwhile, because I could say as a kid, there was those holidays where I was like, I can't believe I got this thing, which is materialistic, I guess, but I don't know. It's good memories.
It's exciting when someone knows what you like and what you don't like, or I don't know. Like my cousin's kid was literally running around the backyard. Like he decided that Bulbasaur was in his backyard, and he was running around screaming, Bulbasaur! It was so cute. And now how am I supposed to not buy him everything?
Right.
I know. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cherish those moments.
Well, and also it's kind of a weird thing, because they're like, it's Cousin Tara, Bulbasaur. And I'm like, he doesn't understand.
Tara Bulbasaur.
Yeah, like they know I have something to do with Pokemon, but they're too young to understand. Like I had a friend from high school the other day write me, and he's like, "Hey, I feel like a dick asking, but my friend's kids are really into this. Is there something you could do?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "But first, how old are they? Because that kind of determines." And he's like, "They're 2.5 and 5." I was like, "Okay, no, you can't tell them what I do. They won't get it, or
Right.
it ruins the whole illusion. So I made a voice recording, and I was like, "Hi, my name is Tara, and I happen to know some Pokemon." But it was so.
That's very. That's creative, I'd say. I think that's a good way to go about it.
Oh, this is not my first rodeo, Steve.
Yeah, I'd say you've had practice.
It is, but it is weird because you just don't want to ruin the illusion.
So in conclusion, you have too much Bulbasaur crap, and you don't need any more
I
Bulbasaur
do,
crap.
but then again, when I see something I haven't seen before, I want it. So like, I would never tell someone not to get me a Bulbasaur because suddenly, I'm really I wish this was video because I have like certain things in my booth that are like one of them is a 3D printed thing, but it's just very different than the other 3D. And I actually bought that one. Like, it's so strange because I guess it's just a personal preference thing.
No, for sure.
On that note, thank you guys for listening. I know this was a long one. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Like buttons, patreon.com/4kidsflashback, all the things. Comments, all the things that make us know how appreciated we are. That sounds so obnoxious. Yeah. But telling your friends is honestly the nicest thing you can do to listen because that helps us. Telling your friends is always the kindest thing you can do. We really do appreciate it. And we will.
Catch you next time.
4Kids Flashback is a production of Maji Media, hosted by Tara Sands and Steve Yurko.
Producers are Zach Logan, Tara Sands, and Steve Yurko.
For more information, go to 4kidsflashback.com. That is the number 4. And if you worked at 4Kids and have a story you want to share, please email us at 4kidsflashback@gmail.com.
You can find us on social media at 4Kids Flashback, and to listen early and ad-free, head to patreon.com/4kidsflashback. For podcast merchandise, find links on our website and Linktree.
As they say on every podcast, if you liked this show, please subscribe, rate, and review, and tell your friends, or 4. If you want to check out other Maji Media podcasts, go to maji.media. Thanks for listening.
Hi, it's Ashley and Jess with Wellness Reality Check. We are 2 health practitioners, moms, and best friends trying to navigate the world of holistic health in a balanced, productive way that brings health to our lives instead of dogmatic extremes. We'll be breaking down health trends, interviewing your favorite health influencers, and always keeping it real. We hope this podcast brings listeners back down to earth, providing a dose of reality in the often idealized world of health and wellness.
Wellness Reality Check. Follow the show now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at wellnessrealitycheck.com.